The era of pyramid construction spans roughly 5 centuries, from approximately 2986 to 2181 BCE, during what historians call the Old Kingdom period. This was ancient Egypt's golden age, a time when the pharaohs wielded absolute power and commanded resources that could reshape the very landscape. The third, fourth, fifth, and sixth dynasties witnessed the birth of architectural marvels that would outlast empires, religions, and civilizations. This was not a society built on slavery, as popular myths suggest, but rather a complex system of civic duty, religious devotion, and economic necessity. Farmers worked on pyramids during flood seasons when their fields were unusable. Craftsmen took pride in contributing their skills to projects that would ensure their pharaoh's successful journey to the afterlife. Even laborers understood that their backbreaking work served a divine purpose that would benefit all of Egypt. In the annals of human history, few individuals have left such an indelible mark on civilization as the brilliant minds who conceived and designed the pyramids of ancient Egypt. These were not merely builders following orders, but visionary architects whose revolutionary ideas transformed the landscape of both architecture and human ambition. Their names, carved in stone and preserved in papyrus, echo across millennia as testament to the power of human ingenuity and the courage to dream beyond the constraints of their time. At the dawn of monumental stone architecture stands a figure so remarkable that later generations would deify him. Imhotep, whose name means "he who comes in peace," served as the chief architect, physician, and high priest under Pharaoh Djoser during the Third Dynasty around 2650 BCE. This extraordinary polymath would become the world's first recorded architect, the father of medicine, and a sage whose wisdom was revered for thousands of years after his death. The conceptual breakthrough behind the step pyramid was profound. Imhotep understood that the pharaoh's tomb should serve as a symbolic stairway to the heavens, allowing the deceased king's soul to ascend to join the gods. Each level of the pyramid represented a step closer to divine immortality, while the monument's imposing height made it visible from vast distances across the Nile Valley. This was architecture as theology, stone shaped by spiritual conviction. The mathematical precision of Hemiunu's design reveals sophisticated understanding of geometry and engineering principles. The Great Pyramid's base forms an almost perfect square, with sides measuring approximately 230 meters and varying by less than 2 centimeters. The monument's orientation aligns precisely with true north, deviating by only 3/60th of a degree. These accuracies, achieved without modern surveying instruments, demonstrate mathematical knowledge that wouldn't be surpassed for millennia. Hemiunu's greatest innovation was his solution to the pyramid's internal architecture. Previous pyramids had suffered from structural problems caused by the enormous weight of stone pressing down on internal chambers. Hemiunu designed a revolutionary system of relieving chambers above the king's chamber, distributing weight through a series of granite beams and air spaces that prevented catastrophic collapse. This engineering marvel has allowed the Great Pyramid to survive intact for over 4,500 years. The construction of the Great Pyramid required Hemiunu to solve unprecedented logistical challenges. The monument contains approximately 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing between 2.5 and 15 tons. The largest granite blocks in the king's chamber weigh up to 80 tons and were transported from quarries 800 kilometers away at Aswan. Coordinating the cutting, transportation, and precise placement of these millions of blocks required organizational skills that rival modern project management. The pyramid builder's story reminds us that behind every great achievement stand individuals whose courage, creativity, and persistence transform dreams into reality. Imhotep, Hemiunu, and their colleagues were not supernatural beings, but humans who refused to accept limitations, pushing the boundaries of what was possible and leaving monuments that continue inspiring wonder and admiration across the centuries. At the heart of pyramid construction lay a profound religious philosophy that viewed death not as an ending, but as a transformation, a crucial passage from earthly existence to divine immortality. The ancient Egyptians possessed an elaborate cosmology that explained the journey of the soul after death, and the pyramids served as the ultimate facilitator of this sacred transition. To comprehend the pyramid's design, one must first understand the spiritual beliefs that motivated its creation. Imhotep's revolutionary step pyramid represented the first major leap in this evolution. His design transformed the static mastaba into a dynamic structure that literally stepped toward heaven, creating a physical manifestation of the spiritual journey the pharaoh's soul would undertake. Each level of the step pyramid represented a stage in this ascension, with the monument serving as a permanent ladder connecting earth and sky. The mathematical precision underlying pyramid design reveals sophisticated understanding of geometric principles that extended far beyond purely practical considerations. Ancient Egyptian architects possessed remarkable knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering that they applied to create monuments of unprecedented accuracy and symbolic power. The incorporation of the golden ratio, another fundamental mathematical constant, appears throughout pyramid design and construction. This ratio, approximately 1.618, appears frequently in natural phenomena and was considered by ancient mathematicians to represent perfect proportion. Many pyramid dimensions reflect golden ratio relationships, suggesting that the builders consciously incorporated this principle into their designs to create monuments that would embody mathematical perfection. The astronomical orientation of pyramids reveals another layer of sophisticated planning that connected these monuments with cosmic forces. The Great Pyramid at Giza is oriented with remarkable precision to true north, deviating by only 3/60th of a degree from perfect alignment. This accuracy required sophisticated surveying techniques and astronomical observations that demonstrate the builder's advanced understanding of celestial mechanics. Granite, the hardest stone used in pyramid construction, was reserved for the most important internal chambers and structural elements. This dark, extremely durable stone was quarried hundreds of kilometers away at Aswan and transported down the Nile at enormous expense and effort. Its use in the king's chamber and other critical areas reflected both practical requirements for maximum strength and symbolic associations with permanence and divine power. The design process for each pyramid began years or even decades before construction commenced. Teams of architects, priests, astronomers, and mathematicians worked together to create detailed plans that incorporated all the complex requirements of engineering, religion, and royal symbolism. These plans were recorded on papyrus scrolls and wooden planning boards, though few have survived to modern times. The legacy of pyramid design extends far beyond ancient Egypt, influencing architectural traditions around the world and continuing to inspire modern designers and engineers. The principles of mathematical precision, structural stability, and symbolic meaning that guided pyramid construction remain relevant to contemporary architecture, reminding us that the greatest buildings successfully integrate practical requirements with deeper human aspirations for permanence, beauty, and transcendence. I-4. Daily life of the workers. As the first light of dawn crept across the Giza plateau, piercing the pre-dawn darkness with fingers of gold and amber, the great construction site began to stir with life. The sound of thousands of workers awakening filled the temporary city that had grown around the rising pyramid, a bustling community dedicated to one of humanity's most ambitious undertakings. This was not merely a construction site, but a complete civilization in miniature, where men from across the Egyptian kingdom had gathered to participate in building their pharaoh's eternal monument. These master masons were organized into crews that competed with each other in both speed and quality of work. Inscriptions found at pyramid sites record the names of work gangs like Friends of Khufu and Drunkards of Menkaure, suggesting a spirit of friendly rivalry that motivated workers to exceed expectations. Each crew developed its own techniques and took pride in distinctive craftsmanship that could be identified years later by experts examining the finished work. The seasonal nature of much pyramid construction work created unique challenges for organizing and housing the workforce. During peak construction periods, particularly during the flood season, when agricultural workers were available, the population around a major pyramid site could swell to 20,000 or more people. Housing, feeding, and coordinating this enormous workforce required logistical capabilities that rivaled those of a military campaign. The daily routine of pyramid workers was governed by the rhythms of the construction site and the harsh realities of desert climate. Work began before dawn, when the air was still cool and workers could make maximum progress before the heat became unbearable. The first meal of the day was typically a simple affair of bread, onions, and garlic, foods that provided energy while helping to prevent the diseases that could devastate large populations living in close quarters. As the sun rose and temperatures climbed, different types of work were scheduled according to the conditions. Heavy lifting and stone moving were concentrated in the cooler early morning hours, while more precise tasks like stone cutting and fitting could continue later in the day under shade structures. The hottest midday hours were often reserved for rest, meals, and planning sessions, where supervisors coordinated the next phase of work. Stone transportation represented one of the most challenging aspects of daily work on the pyramid sites. Moving blocks weighing several tons required coordinated effort from teams of dozens of workers using ropes, levers, and rollers. The techniques developed for this work were remarkably sophisticated, utilizing principles of physics and engineering that wouldn't be formalized until thousands of years later. Workers learned to use inclined planes, compound pulleys, and coordinated lifting techniques that multiplied their collective strength. Meals were a crucial aspect of daily life, not only for maintaining the workers' strength, but also for reinforcing social bonds and maintaining morale. The pyramid construction sites included extensive food preparation facilities, including bakeries capable of producing thousands of loaves daily, breweries that supplied the beer that was a dietary staple, and facilities for preparing the onions, garlic, and radishes that formed the foundation of workers' diet. The diet provided to pyramid workers was remarkably nutritious by ancient standards, reflecting the organizers' understanding that well-fed workers were more productive and less likely to fall ill. Bread formed the foundation of every meal, providing carbohydrates for energy, while beer supplied additional calories and was safer to drink than water in an era before modern sanitation. Onions and garlic not only added flavor, but also provided vitamins and had antibiotic properties that helped prevent disease. Meat was served regularly, though not daily, usually in the form of beef or goat that was roasted in large quantities and distributed according to workers' status and the intensity of their labor. Fish from the Nile supplemented the protein supply, while vegetables and fruits provided essential vitamins and minerals. The scale of food preparation was enormous, with some estimates suggesting that feeding the Giza workforce required slaughtering hundreds of cattle per month. Archaeological evidence reveals that injured workers received care that was advanced for its time, including bone setting, wound treatment, and even complex surgical procedures. Some skeletons show evidence of successfully healed fractures that would have required weeks or months of recovery time, suggesting that workers were supported during their convalescence rather than simply discarded when they could no longer contribute to construction. The end of each workday brought its own rituals and social interactions. After the tools were cleaned and stored, the work areas secured, and the next day's tasks planned, workers would gather in small groups to share meals, exchange news from their home regions, and participate in the informal networks of friendship and mutual support that made life bearable in this challenging environment. The techniques and construction methods. In the shimmering heat of the Egyptian desert, where the Great Pyramid of Giza rises like an ancient mountain crafted by human hands, lies the testament to one of humanity's most remarkable achievements in engineering and construction. The techniques and methods employed by the pyramid builders represent a convergence of practical innovation, mathematical precision, and organizational genius that enabled ordinary human beings to create monuments that have endured for over 4 millennia. Understanding these methods reveals not only the sophisticated capabilities of ancient Egyptian civilization, but also the timeless principles of engineering that continue to influence construction today. Rollers, typically made from hardwood logs, enabled the transportation of heavy blocks across relatively flat surfaces. These rollers were often grooved or shaped to prevent lateral movement of the blocks being transported, while teams of workers could guide the movement using ropes and manual effort. The rollers had to be constantly repositioned as the block moved forward, requiring careful coordination among work teams. The design of these ramps has been the subject of extensive scholarly debate, with different theories proposing straight ramps, zigzag ramps, or spiral ramps that wound around the pyramid as it grew. Recent archaeological discoveries suggest that the builders probably used a combination of ramp systems, adapting their approach as construction progressed and the logistical challenges evolved. Spiral ramps winding around the pyramid as it grew would have provided continuous access to the working level while requiring minimal additional material. This approach would have allowed construction to proceed on all faces of the pyramid simultaneously while maintaining efficient access for material delivery. However, spiral ramps would have required sophisticated engineering to ensure that the ramp gradient remained manageable as the pyramid height increased. The transportation of stone from quarries to construction sites represented a logistical challenge of enormous proportions. The Great Pyramid alone required approximately 2.3 million stone blocks, ranging from relatively small limestone blocks weighing 2 to 3 tons to massive granite blocks weighing up to 80 tons. Moving this quantity of material required transportation systems that could operate efficiently over long distances while handling stones of varying sizes and weights. For local limestone, the transportation distances were relatively short, but the volume of material was enormous. Workers developed efficient systems for moving blocks from quarries to the pyramid base, using combinations of rollers, ramps, and human power to transport thousands of blocks daily during peak construction periods. The organization required to coordinate this material flow was comparable to modern large-scale construction projects. The techniques and methods developed by the pyramid builders established principles that continue to influence construction today. Their understanding of structural engineering, material science, and project management created a foundation for architectural achievement that has never been surpassed in terms of precision, scale, and durability. The pyramids stand as testament to human ingenuity and the power of organized effort, demonstrating that with proper planning, skilled craftsmanship, and dedicated teamwork, even the most ambitious architectural dreams can become reality. The pharaoh's involvement in pyramid planning began early in his reign, often within the first few years of ascending to the throne. The selection of the construction site, the basic design of the monument, and the allocation of resources all required royal approval and active participation. Pharaohs would consult with their architects, priests, and administrators to ensure that their eternal monument would reflect both their divine status and the kingdom's capabilities. The vizier's responsibilities included coordinating with regional governors to ensure adequate supplies of workers and materials, overseeing the complex logistics of transportation and housing, and managing the enormous financial resources required for pyramid construction. Historical records suggest that some viziers dedicated their entire careers to single pyramid projects, developing expertise in large-scale construction management that was unmatched in the ancient world. Working under the vizier's direction, specialized administrators managed different aspects of the construction project. The overseer of works held direct responsibility for construction activities, coordinating with architects and master craftsmen to ensure that building proceeded according to specifications and schedule. This official needed to understand both technical construction requirements and human resource management, balancing quality expectations with practical constraints of time and materials. The overseer of workers managed the enormous human resources required for pyramid construction, including recruitment, housing, feeding, and healthcare for the workforce. This position required sophisticated understanding of human motivation and social dynamics, as maintaining morale and productivity among thousands of workers over many years presented unprecedented challenges. The overseer of workers also coordinated with regional officials to ensure steady supplies of seasonal labor during peak construction periods. Quality control systems ensured that construction met the exacting standards required for royal monuments. Supervisors at multiple levels inspected work in progress, with authority to reject substandard blocks or require rework of construction that failed to meet specifications. These quality systems included both technical inspections and religious ceremonies that blessed completed work and ensured its spiritual adequacy for the pharaoh's eternal monument. 7. Spiritual life and culture. Within the vast construction sites where Egypt's eternal monuments rose toward the heavens, there existed a rich tapestry of spiritual life and cultural expression that transformed what might have been merely enormous building projects into sacred enterprises that touched the deepest beliefs and aspirations of ancient Egyptian civilization. The pyramid builders were not simply laborers engaged in secular construction, but participants in a religious undertaking of cosmic significance, where every stone placed and every day's work contributed to ensuring their pharaoh's successful journey to immortality and, by extension, the continued prosperity of Egypt itself. The spiritual dimension of pyramid construction permeated every aspect of life on the construction sites, from the morning prayers that began each workday to the elaborate ceremonies that marked major milestones in construction progress. The workers understood that they were not merely building tombs, but creating powerful religious instruments that would facilitate the pharaoh's transformation from mortal king to divine being. This understanding infused their daily labor with profound meaning that sustained them through years of difficult, dangerous work. Similarly, the placement of the pyramidion, the capstone that crowned the completed pyramid, was accompanied by ceremonies of extraordinary solemnity and significance. This final stone, often made of precious materials and inscribed with religious texts, represented the completion of the pharaoh's eternal home and the successful fulfillment of the workers' sacred obligation. The pyramidion ceremony marked not only architectural completion, but spiritual triumph, demonstrating the power of organized human effort to create monuments worthy of divine habitation. Workers themselves contributed to the storytelling tradition by sharing tales of their own experiences, challenges overcome, and friendships forged during construction. These personal narratives help create shared identities and common purpose among workers while preserving memories of individual contributions to the great collective effort. Many of these stories probably exaggerated the difficulties overcome and the heroism displayed, but they served important functions in maintaining morale and group cohesion. The family life of pyramid workers reflected the unique circumstances of construction communities while maintaining connections to traditional Egyptian domestic arrangements. Many skilled craftsmen brought their families to live near construction sites, creating stable communities that supported long-term construction projects. These family arrangements provided emotional support for workers while ensuring the transmission of specialized skills to the next generation. Marriage and family formation within pyramid construction communities often crossed regional and social boundaries that might have been more rigid in traditional Egyptian communities. The shared experiences and common purposes of pyramid construction created bonds that transcended conventional social divisions, leading to intermarriages that strengthened community cohesion while enriching cultural diversity. Sandstorms presented intermittent but devastating challenges that could halt construction for days while threatening the safety of workers and the integrity of work in progress. These storms, driven by powerful desert winds, could reduce visibility to near zero while filling the air with abrasive sand particles that damaged tools, contaminated food supplies, and created serious health hazards for anyone caught in the open. The unpredictable nature of sandstorms made them particularly challenging to manage, as they could arise with little warning and vary dramatically in intensity and duration. Construction supervisors had to develop early warning systems and emergency procedures that could quickly protect workers and construction materials when storms threatened. The aftermath of major storms often required extensive cleanup and repair work that delayed construction schedules and increased project costs. Archaeological evidence from pyramid worker cemeteries reveals the frequency and severity of construction-related injuries, including broken bones, spinal damage, and traumatic injuries that reflect the dangerous nature of the work. However, the same evidence also demonstrates that injured workers often receive sophisticated medical treatment that enabled survival and recovery from injuries that would have been fatal without intervention. The monotonous nature of much construction work, involving repetitive tasks performed under difficult conditions for years at a time, created risks of mental fatigue and despair that could affect individual workers and spread through entire work crews. Supervisors had to develop motivational techniques and social support systems that could maintain enthusiasm and commitment throughout extended construction periods. The transportation of materials presented particularly complex challenges, as the quantities required far exceeded anything previously attempted in human history. The Great Pyramid alone required approximately 2.3 million stone blocks, ranging from relatively small limestone blocks weighing several tons to massive granite monoliths weighing up to 80 tons. Moving this quantity of material required transportation systems that could handle varying loads over different terrains, while maintaining schedules that kept construction crews supplied with materials. Quality control represented another significant challenge, as the precision required for pyramid construction demanded inspection and testing procedures that could identify problems before they compromised structural integrity or construction schedules. Rejecting substandard materials or poorly executed work created additional costs and delays, but accepting inadequate quality could lead to catastrophic failures that might destroy months or years of progress. The opportunity costs of pyramid construction, including the alternative uses for the enormous human and material resources devoted to these projects, created ongoing debates about priorities and resource allocation that tested the political and social stability of Egyptian society. Balancing the religious and political importance of pyramid construction against other societal needs required leadership and administrative capabilities that could maintain public support for these massive undertakings. The organizational legacy of pyramid construction established templates for large-scale project management that demonstrated the power of coordinated human effort when properly directed toward clearly defined goals. The administrative systems developed for coordinating thousands of workers, managing complex logistics, and maintaining quality standards across decades of construction created organizational models that influenced everything from military campaigns to later construction projects throughout the ancient world. The influence of pyramid construction techniques spread throughout the ancient world through trade relationships, diplomatic contacts, and cultural exchange that carried Egyptian innovations to distant civilizations. Archaeological evidence reveals Egyptian influence on monumental construction projects in Nubia, the Levant, and even distant regions that adopted modified versions of pyramid building techniques for their own architectural projects. The builders of Egypt's pyramids were not supernatural beings or recipients of alien assistance, as popular mythology sometimes suggests, but ordinary human beings who accomplished extraordinary things through the application of intelligence, determination, and collaborative effort on an unprecedented scale. Their achievement stands as one of history's most compelling demonstrations that the limitations we perceive in human capability are often limitations of imagination, organization, and commitment rather than absolute constraints imposed by physical or technological reality. The daily lives of pyramid workers reveal a complex society that balanced individual needs with collective purposes, while creating communities that supported both practical construction requirements and broader human needs for meaning, social connection, and cultural expression. The pyramid construction sites were not merely industrial facilities but complete communities where people lived, worked, worshipped, and formed relationships that enriched their lives while contributing to the achievement of shared goals. This integration of practical necessity with human fulfillment provides lessons for contemporary efforts to create workplaces and communities that support both productivity and human well-being. The legacy of pyramid construction extends far beyond the monuments themselves to encompass ongoing influences on architecture, engineering, mathematics, and organizational theory that continue to shape human achievement. Modern construction projects, scientific expeditions, space exploration programs, and other ambitious undertakings continue to apply lessons learned from the pyramid builders about planning, organization, quality control, and the coordination of human effort toward challenging goals. The principles established during pyramid construction remain relevant because they address fundamental challenges of human cooperation and achievement that transcend specific technological or cultural contexts. The story of the pyramid builders ultimately celebrates the potential inherent in human civilization when individual talents are effectively coordinated toward worthy goals. Their achievements stand as permanent testimony to what ordinary people can accomplish through extraordinary commitment, demonstrating that the limits of human possibility extend far beyond what any individual generation might imagine. As we face our own challenges and opportunities, the legacy of the pyramid builders reminds us that we too are capable of creating achievements that will inspire and benefit future generations. If we can summon the vision, commitment, and collaborative spirit that enabled those ancient builders to create monuments that truly were built for eternity. In the end, the greatest legacy of the pyramid builders lies not in the stones they moved or the monuments they created, but in their demonstration of human potential when properly channeled toward ambitious goals. Their achievement continues to challenge each new generation to consider what lasting contributions they might make through their own efforts, ensuring that the spirit of the pyramid builders will continue to inspire human achievement as long as people dream of accomplishing great things and building for eternity.